Parents should start talking to their children about sex, probably right from the very beginning. I mean, right when boys and girls learn that they're different genders. That's really good just to start introducing like names of body organs, stuff like that.
I think it's hard to know one size fits all for an age that you should just start talking to your kids about sex, but I know for me it was pretty young, probably around preschool, just, body parts and really, simplified, more innocent ways to explain things, and then just slowly integrating more things about puberty as kids starting to go through that.
I think the age that parents talk to their kids about sex should be as early as their kids can understand.
That's a part of daily life where when you're putting on your Pampers, oh, what's that? Well, son, that's a penis. And then that way children have the opportunity to learn more and more as they grow older, and when the time comes to properly use their parts, they will know.
When I was probably 6 or 7, my mom used to kind of make it a game. She used to draw pictures for me of the different body parts and the different facts of what goes in where and stuff like that. So I think definitely starting young to acclimate the kids to the idea of sex and how it's just a part of natural life.
But don't pile that all on this one moment. Slowly take it step by step, and don't just have one conversation. Have multiple conversations so that your kid is actually comfortable talking about it with you.
So using personal examples for parents, I think it's important so that their kids can relate to them.
I think more than anything, the worst thing a parent can do for trying to educate their kid is surrounding the education with fear.
Slowly get to talking about it, ask them questions, ask them if they've heard anything in school, ask them if they know anything about it, if they've heard anything, and that's a really good way for your kid to open up to you.
Most teens, as far as middle school to high schoolers, definitely get most of their information from their peers. If not, then their peers will usually get it from everything from magazines to TV, just to the basic social structure as far as when you should have your first kiss, when you should have sex, the importance of relationships and things like that.
I feel like there's options out there for parents to learn more and be able to approach their kids in a better way.
When a parent approaches their child about sex, or the other way around, they should definitely make sure to include not only the importance of birth control, first abstinence, of course, but abstinence, birth control, condoms, everything like that. But they should definitely make sure that their child knows that it's not just a physical act of lust. It's actually has a lot of emotions tied to it, and it's something that's very personal. It should not just be a whim type of thing. It should not just be a random decision. It's something that should be very important and should be shared only with a loved one.
Parents should cover topics such as body development and STIs and pregnancies and all the positives and all the negatives, because just knowing the negatives isn't enough.
I think it's really understandable to be uncomfortable talking about sex, especially if it's your kid and you maybe aren't comfortable with it yourself. But I think there's lots of books on the subject. There's resources like Planned Parenthood or other resources online that you can look up and get information and tips. But basically just trying to keep it as informal and just low-key as possible, I guess.
I think the biggest thing is not reserving it to just one big talk. One talk, okay, it's done, over with. I think it should be continuous and comfortable, and just casual conversation between you and your son or daughter.
A parent, if they feel uncomfortable talking about sex, I think that they should go and talk to another parent, maybe a parent that's had kids go through high school or something like that.
If a parent is uncomfortable about talking to their teen about sex, they need to either ask another parent who has done it before, or there's even websites who have helpful hints, or go down to your local Planned Parenthood and they can help you out.
The last thing you want is false information being taught from a parental figure, because of course children are going to trust their parents to teach them everything, but I think that no topic should be off limits and parents should remain in an open relationship with their children about sex and be a person of guidance to their children.
I believe that both parents should be involved in the sexual education of children, because it's nice to know the different perspectives of male and female and have the support from both parents.
I think that it is important to have both parents involved, whether it be two dads, two moms, or mom and a dad, in teaching their children about sexual health and reproduction and safety, because sometimes kids will feel more comfortable with one parent than the other, and it's good to have two forms of guidance in your life rather than just one.
I think parents should prepare by going over their speech, maybe thinking about what they're going to be saying, checking that they feel comfortable enough to say it, and then just be really ready for it and open for it.
I think parents should always be prepared when having a child, knowing that being children themselves once, that they will have curiosities about themselves, about their bodies, about all different kinds of things, and just be prepared.
Preparations that parents should do when before having the sex talk with their son or daughter is definitely do some research. Make sure you know your facts so your children think you're a reliable source, and also just think about what you're going to say. Know that it might be awkward at first, but battle on through it.
I think out of the blue questions could probably take parents aback, but I think it's a really good sign that your kids are comfortable enough to ask things that they could have asked their friends or just looked up themselves. So just not to discourage that, I think is really important, and just to, if you don't know the answer, maybe just say that and then try to figure it out together, or come back and talk about it later, but just to not shut kids down.
When parents get out of the blue questions from their children, especially their younger children, do not shame them, because that just makes a child feel uncomfortable and confused. And so maybe reassuring them, saying something like, oh, that's a good question, or doing something that will make them feel less self-conscious about the question itself.
Kids have a lot of questions, and if parents want to instill their morals and beliefs within their children, it's important that they communicate with them so that they understand those.
I think that sex education needs to be both in the home and in the school system. I think that children should have the opportunity to talk to whoever they need, whenever, about forms of sexual education, because knowledge is power.
To say that the responsibility just falls on the parents puts a huge disconnect between the time that the child spends at home, which is minimal compared to the time that the child spends at school and around their peers and in that social environment. So to put the work just on the parents isn't fair. I mean, there's no way that they can cover it completely by themselves. And to put it just on the school board or on the school systems is taking a lot of the responsibility away from the parents, and it's straying from whatever morals or whatever religious ideas that the parents might have. That is also a very important aspect to have. So it should be a group effort.
I think sexual education needs to rely on parents and schools, because some parents feel really uncomfortable with the topic. They can't even say the words penis or vagina.
And I think it's important for parents to instill morals and values within their children, but then for the schools to present facts and information.
Dangers of a parent that doesn't discuss sex with their child is obviously the big one, which is teen pregnancy and STIs and STDs.
Well, if there's a parent who doesn't discuss sex with their child, and if the child doesn't have any outside resources, doesn't have it in school, doesn't have someone that they can talk to, then that's a child who's misinformed or uneducated about sex and sexual health, and they get to have some real problems in their future.
A lot of kids that don't ever have the opportunity to have a good talk with their parents are the ones that end up making bad choices for themselves that they wouldn't have if they had been more educated, especially with teen pregnancy and rising STI rates among teens. They're preventable, and no teenager wants to go out and contract a disease they'll have the rest of their lives, and no parent wants that for their child. So I think it's really, really important just for those risks to have those conversations.
Parents can help their children make responsible decisions about sex by letting them know that it's not something that they should be scared about, and it's not something that they should feel like they're alone on. A lot of kids that I know don't like to talk to their parents about it. They don't like to involve them in any way. They just like to kind of deal with it by themselves. But the kids do have to know that if they are in trouble or if there's something that they need help on, the parents should always be there. And if parents aren't there, then there should always be someone else that they can go to. So as long as there's a solid support system, that's the most important thing.
I think for parents, I think one of the most important things is setting a good example.
I think it's important, really important, that parents do talk to their kids about sex and have kind of a continuing discussion, because teens do need to be safe. It's a big problem.
I would say parents just need to get out there and talk to their kids about sex. It might be awkward, but you can bust out a few jokes and have a good time, and I think that it makes you all that more close with your child.
And I think that health and sex education is important no matter what environment that you're in. And it is imperative that children and teens come away with the right information in order to make healthy decisions with their lives. And it's that simple.